Today on Bridge City News, more than 150 Canadians killed during the war in Afghanistan were remembered at a ceremony outside National Defence Headquarters in Ottawa this morning. The city of Lethbridge holds their first ever Pancakes and Power Poles charity breakfast. And Conservative and NDP members are calling for an emergency meeting next week to hear testimony from Federal Ethics Commissioner Mario Dion on his scathing report on the SNC-Lavalin affair.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Paul Arthur.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. The city of Lethbridge held their first ever Pancakes and Power Poles charity breakfast at the NMAG Centre parking lot this morning. The event is aimed at teaching the community what's involved in providing the electricity we perhaps take for granted to power our fridges, lights, and televisions.
So the event we're having today is our very first customer appreciation breakfast. So the event's hosted by the City of Lethbridge Electric Utility, and I want to thank all of our staff for taking time out of their day on the weekend to come out and share their experience with our customers. We have a very dedicated staff of about 90 people who do anything from take your request for having this service put in to some of the line technicians you see behind me working, who would be out in the poles or down in the ground making sure that the wires extended to your house or your business here in Lethbridge.
The proceeds from the breakfast will be going to the Lethbridge Harbour House. It's a busy weekend in Picture Butte with the annual Jamboree Days celebration. There's a lot going on with a slow pitch tournament all weekend, a street dance tonight, and an outdoor movie at 9 p.m. at Lions Park. And you can catch the fireworks at 10 tonight. And of course, the folks at Coyote Flats Pioneer Village also have a full slate of activities with the tractor pull starting at 6:30 p.m., threshing demonstrations, and tomorrow's Parade of Power will go at 2 p.m. The Lethbridge Farming Smarter organization held their annual Open Farm Days event today, teaching people from urban areas about what's involved in the process of getting products from local farms onto our kitchen tables.
So our event brings in all sorts of different vendors, and part of that is we have an Ask a Farmer booth where we've asked some of our local farmers to come and talk to folks about how their farm runs and what happens today in agriculture. And some of the other exhibitors range from a bakery to the Farm Stewardship Centre, which is a government program here in Lethbridge, to a commission. The Alberta Canola Producers are here. We also have the County of Lethbridge and 4-H. I believe it started as a provincial initiative about 7 years ago, and Farming Smarter picked it up about 5 years ago. Currently we get no funding for this event. We're hoping that an application that we've submitted will provide some funding for future Open Farm Day events, but at this point it's considerable cost to our association.
The 8th annual Lethbridge Electronic Music Festival got underway today downtown at Galt Gardens. The gathering not only features loud music, lights and dancing, but also a kids zone, food vendors, and an artisan market. Large crowds are expected later tonight as the event runs through until 11 p.m. The calendar says it's August 17th, but there is a frost advisory in place for parts of Alberta. Environment Canada warns patchy frost is possible in parts of central and northern Alberta, including Airdrie, Cochrane, High Level, Peace River, and Wabasca. The weather agency is expecting low temperatures overnight near zero, which could lead to potential damage of plants and crops. An Alberta judge has dismissed a lawsuit that German-Canadian businessman Karl-Heinz Schreiber filed in 1997, saying too much time has passed. Schreiber claimed he was defamed by the Attorney General of Canada as the Mounties investigated possible kickbacks to then Prime Minister Brian Mulroney on the sale of Airbus planes to Air Canada. Schreiber was extradited to Germany in 2009, served time in prison for tax evasion, and tried to resume his suit 2 years ago. The operators of the Sea to Sky gondola say they're replacing all 30 cabins and the haul rope on the popular tourist attraction, but it won't likely reopen until next spring. No one was hurt last weekend when the RCMP say someone deliberately cut the gondola's main cable, sending the cars crashing to the ground. The operator says the cleanup has started, but the reopening date depends on the delivery of the new parts from Europe. More than 150 Canadians killed during the war in Afghanistan were remembered at a ceremony outside National Defence Headquarters in Ottawa this morning. Hundreds of family members looked on as a cenotaph that soldiers themselves built during the war was rededicated. There was an uproar several months ago after veterans and families were initially left out of the memorial's unveiling. The cenotaph stood for years at the Kandahar airfield and was moved back to Ottawa after the mission ended in 2014. Canada's food safety watchdog is recalling Kraft Heinz Canada's turkey stew product for babies over 8 months because there might be bugs in it. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says the baby food was sold in BC, Saskatchewan, Ontario, Quebec, and Newfoundland and Labrador. There have been no reported illnesses, but the agency says the product should be thrown out or returned to the store where it was purchased. The parents of a Halifax woman who survived a random attack that left her fiancé dead in New Zealand say they are devastated by the tragedy. The parents of Bianca Buckley say they have been in touch with their daughter, but have said nothing further. Buckley called police Friday to report she and her Australian boyfriend were attacked by a man who fired a gun inside their parked van near Raglan, New Zealand. Sean McKinnon was shot, and his body was found hours later inside the abandoned van in another town. Police have since arrested a 23-year-old man. The federal New Democrats will be looking for another candidate to run in the Quebec riding of Longueuil-Saint-Hubert after they ejected MP Pierre Nantel from the upcoming election fold. Yesterday's boot followed confirmation he was in discussions to ditch the NDP and run for the Green Party instead. An MP since 2011, Nantel says the, quote, climate crisis is an issue of great importance to him and believes Green Party leader Elizabeth May is the only federal leader willing to truly tackle climate issues. Federal Ethics Commissioner Mario Dion says if the House of Commons wants him to testify about his scathing report on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's handling of the SNC-Lavalin affair, he is willing to do so. Conservative and NDP members may force an emergency meeting of the committee next week, and they intend to move a motion to invite Dion to answer questions. But it is possible that the 6 Liberals on the Liberal-dominated panel might not agree to invite him. 2 large rallies took place today in Portland, Oregon, as right-wing groups, white nationalists, and protesters such as Antifa, Patriot Prayer, and Proud Boys gathered. Some 24 local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies were on hand to discourage anticipated violence. Police did seize weapons such as bear spray and shields. Authorities also set up concrete barriers and closed streets in an effort to contain the groups, but thankfully widespread violence did not flare up. Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers are not satisfied with the New York medical examiner's report on the financier's prison death. The autopsy says Epstein's death was a suicide by hanging. The lawyers plan to conduct their own investigation and want to see any video from the area around Epstein's cell. They say their client's safety was in the hands of the guards and that there were indisputable violations of protocol. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is warning members that coffee is prohibited no matter how fancy the name, that vaping is banned despite the alluring flavors, and that marijuana is outlawed unless prescribed by competent doctors. The new guidance seems to reflect growing concern about younger members not following church rules prohibiting alcohol, tobacco, illegal drugs, and coffee and tea. A survey for a 2016 book revealed that 4 in 10 active church members under age 51 had consumed coffee during the previous 6 months. Elephants and sharks are among the main topics at the World Wildlife Conference in Geneva. Representatives from more than 180 countries are discussing the trade in ivory and the demand for shark fin soup that is decimating shark populations. Earlier this year, the first comprehensive UN report on biodiversity warned that more than 1 million species of plants and animals are facing extinction. Dueling demonstrations on both sides of Hong Kong's famous harbor are highlighting the political divide today in the semi-autonomous Chinese territory. Pro-democracy activists have marched through a district in Kowloon, while supporters of the Beijing-backed government rallied in a park on the Hong Kong island side. Teachers joined their protest today and back their demands for fully democratic elections, the resignation of the city's leader, and an end to excessive police force against crowds. Recapping one of our top stories this hour, more than 150 Canadians killed during the war in Afghanistan were remembered at a ceremony outside National Defence Headquarters in Ottawa this morning. And a look at weekend weather. There is a warm trend coming our way. A few clouds overnight with a low of 11. Then tomorrow, sunshine and a west wind at 30, along with a high of 28 degrees. Gene editing has been a controversial practice for some time. On one hand, it prevents future diseases, but on the other hand, many argue it can be unethical. Dr. Anjanette Roberts is a molecular biologist and explains what the future of gene editing may look like. That's next, but first, here's a look at what's happening in and around your community.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Southern Alberta Men's Ministry is hosting a barbecue and games day for men in the Lethbridge area on Saturday, August 24th at the John Martin Picnic Area in Pavan Park, beginning at 4 p.m. Enjoy an afternoon of hilarious fun and delicious food. Then hear an inspiring message from Jerry Pullman. Tickets are 2 for $10. Buy one for yourself and a friend. For more information and tickets, contact Leslie at 403-327-4422 and follow Southern Alberta Men's Ministry on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Devil's Coulee Dinosaur and Heritage Museum, located in Warner, Alberta, is now open until September 2nd. Take a tour of the Dinosaur Gallery, heritage exhibits, and military displays. Visit Charlie the Baby Dinosaur and see an actual nesting site. For more information, visit devilcoulee.com. And that's your Bridge City News community calendar.